Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our monthly mental health Zoom, where this month we are celebrating Black History Month here with Community Collaboration Exchange in Miami, Southridge. On behalf of our principal, our leader, Mr. Humberto J. Moret, I bring you greetings from Southridge and Community Collaboration Exchange. Without further ado, we're going to get this party started. Black history style, because all history matter, all people matter, and we are all so diverse, but we all one together for the common good of making the world a better place. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Emely Garcia singing Lift Every Voice and Sing Our Black National.
Oh my goodness.
Lift every voice and sing to let that heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let every sound loud as the rolling seas.
Okay.
We have, sorry, I didn't space out. I'm so
Okay,
tired of
you're good.
tiredness.
I'm gonna play it anyway. I'm about to play it anyway. I wanted
Thank
you to
you.
start us off because I wanted to hear your lovely voice again. You did an amazing job.
I got sick this whole week. I haven't come for 2 days.
I know, and I'm happy you logged in today. So let me go ahead and share my screen. I'm so used to my computer too. Oh, I should have pressed that. Give me a second, y'all. I'm pressing it. I don't know why this thing keep jumping in and out. All right. Thank you, Emily. Let's give Emily some comments in the chat. Can you all see my screen? Emily is always bold and she's always doing something.
Can't hear it.
Can't hear it.
So you can't hear it?
Right, we can't hear it.
Okay, let me try again. Now,
Let our rejoicing rise high as listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory
All right, all right. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, something is going on right now. Hold on. I no longer can see. All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Oh, there we are. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Dugue-Wright, who is a phenomenal educator, community activist, community organizer. She's our everything. Mrs. Dugue-Wright, you all.
Hello, good evening, everybody. I am going to share a couple of things. I wanted to first share a little intro that was provided to me by Keone McGee, who he is one of our commissioners that is making our community very, very proud with a lot of the work and the activities, the changes, the additions, all the good things he is. I did receive his bio. He wasn't able to join us today. However, I will share this photo. So let's see. Okay, can everybody see my screen? And so it actually is titled our Black History Maker. And so this is just a little segment that I have asked Akins to allow us to share. And so he is a person that shows leadership. His impact is immense, and his inspiration to our community is hopeful. He represents the spirit of determination, progress, and impactful leadership from overcoming a challenge, all the challenges and difficulties of childhood that has shaped who he is and the policies and the millions of people that he tries to impact. McGee's life story illustrates the power of tenacity and vision to drive meaningful change. He was born with the odds stacked against him, however, considered emotionally handicapped at the age of 6, with an IQ level of 78 and with an average GPA of 1.9 and a 0% chance of surviving past the age of 21. His path seemed predestined for failure, yet his journey would redefine the narrative, transforming those obstacles into success. He was elected both as our Florida State Representative and Miami-Dade County Commissioner by the historic margins. McGee's leadership has been defined by bold initiatives and tangible results. He is also very highly effective and a champion of our community, as he is considered a fundraising machine, channeling resources to initiate and drive meaningful change within our community, protecting not only our children, but also the animals within our community and all community members in the South Dade community area. I also have highlighted 2 books, and he also has a movie that I am hoping for us to get maybe a little sneak preview. He had it showing a while back ago, I want to say at the Lyric Theater. And it's the Conquering Hope, the Life You Were Destined to Live. It's a book that he authored, but then it has now become a movie. Okay, so that is the highlight from Mr. Keone McGee.
Thank you for sharing that, Mrs. Dugue. I also want to mention that for the MLK parade, the Reverend Dr. MLK parade this year, our students, 5 of our students, they were selected to ride on the actual float with Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King during the parade. Not Martin Luther King himself, but the parade itself is called Reverend Dr. MLK Parade. So they were able to ride on the state commissioner's float, which is a huge thing because not many kids are able to meet a commissioner, interact with a commissioner, and be there with a commissioner. And also, we were able to be on the stage and perform for the Jazz in the Heights because of Commissioner McGee. So we are very thankful and grateful for all that he does. I saw him on the news last night because he's also an attorney. So he represents people in the court of law. And what Ms. Dugue-Wright said, that that 1.9 GPA, low IQ, yes, society could tell you that you can fail with those things, those challenges, but it's all up to you and your mindset of how you want to be and who you want to become in life. So the goal is to never give up, face all your challenges, don't sweep them under the rug, don't hide them, face your challenges, and move on in life. So thank you for sharing that, Mrs. Dugue-Wright. And I really hope that we can see that movie because that's a story to be told and a truth to be told. So thank you. That was very relevant and relatable because we all have come from something and we have tried to make ourselves become something. It's a great story for adults and children who are struggling right now. So thanks for sharing that. All right, let me see if this is going to share correctly this time. Put it in the chat if y'all can.
Hello, my name is Clayton Hunter. I am the assistant principal at Ben Davis University High School. I went to Indiana University Bloomington for my undergrad and for my master's, both in health and fitness kinesiology. From there, I started teaching in 2010 in Michigan City, Indiana, where I was a physical education teacher. I did PE for about 3 years, as well as athletic.
Hold on, guys.
Personally, I celebrate this month by honoring the pioneers of Black cinema. People of color have been underrepresented in American cinema, both behind and in front of the camera. However, trailblazing filmmakers such as Spike Lee, Issa Rae, and John Singleton have told stories seeking to change that.
I celebrate Black History Month by honoring those who came before me, by being a leader in my field and outreaching to youth. I'm very passionate about educating people of all ages, but especially youth, about how to prepare for their natural hazards.
For Black History Month, I usually like to do quiet time to think and reflect on the achievements of the past.
I would like to celebrate Black History Month by reflecting on the good work we're doing here at the Department of Commerce, in particular, working to support economically disadvantaged individuals.
The way I celebrate Black History Month is through building brotherhood and sisterhood, through education and community. I like to share with people that I feel that Black history is American history.
I celebrate Black History Month not just during February, but all year long. And in doing that, I work to make sure my children, and not just my children, but really all children in the community, know and understand the contributions that African Americans have made to this country.
I celebrate Black history by just reflecting upon the past and then thinking about the future and the things that we have accomplished as a culture, as a community. And it just really warms my heart to know that I am a part of Black history in the National Weather Service.
I celebrate Black History Month by reflecting on the legacy of civil rights leaders, including Malcolm X.
Black History Month is that time for us to acknowledge key figures from our past and present. It's an opportunity to spotlight and celebrate the achievements that African Americans have accomplished in this country, despite the history of racism and oppression. This month provides me opportunity to go beyond discussions of racism and slavery and highlight Black leaders and their accomplishments, many whose work or legacy touch our daily lives. I spend Black History Month and the months that follow by working to improve workplace culture and donating time to nonprofit organizations in the community.
In addition to attending a lot of services and programs, etc., one thing that I always do is to review literature from the past. Writers such as James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, writers such as Kunti Cullen. But one thing I also do, this is a book about the plantation that I grew up on. And it's about the family, the Duren Barrow family that owned this plantation since 1775. And my family has a history. My grandfather was a butler on that plantation for 50 years. My father was a butler, a field hand for 50 years. My mother was a maid and my grandmother was a maid. So I always revisit this book. Their names are in this book, their pictures are in this book, because we stand on the shoulders of giants. And so that therefore we don't want to ever not thank them for the sacrifices they made and to have gratitude in that space.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. While Ms. Dugue-Wright is about to do her other presentation, I want to show you all that. How do you celebrate Black history? So while Ms. Dugue is preparing, in the chat, if you celebrate Black history, tell us, how do you celebrate Black history? And I'm going to turn it back over to Mrs. Dugue-Wright. Do we have anybody commenting? Okay, by honoring leaders past and present. I celebrate it by making different hairstyles with my natural hair. Okay. I got my braids, I got my twist because of Black history as well. I celebrate Black history by learning more about their culture and past, and I also try to support and respect their culture. Okay. I read and research different. Shopping Black. Okay. I celebrate. Oh, that's Bullet. Hey, Susan. Okay, Dr. Garcia, I celebrate Black history by sharing with my people how we got there. Even though I am Spanish, I like to respect and learn culture. Yes, I celebrate Black history by reflecting on my leadership role within. Oh, that's a good one. My leadership role within my family. Wow, as well as in my community. Making posters about important figures. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. This is beautiful. Now I'm going to turn it back over to Mrs. Dugue-Wright, and we're going to continue. We're going to end on time, right? We're going to end at 7:30. Make sure you signed in the chat, put your organization, put your student ID if you're a student so I can give you your community service hours. For those of you who logged in late, students, to get the community service hours, you must stay until 7:30. Okay? Turning it back over to you, Dugue-Wright.
Trying to get it to not be so loud.
Okay.
All right, so I wanted to share just some quick images of a Black History tour that we had taken on last year. This is actually our third year since Ms. Akins has joined the Spartan family. She has been very instrumental in making sure that we make connections with many different artists, many different people, many different churches, many different pastors, many different Black history makers. And so I guess that's like the theme of when we take these Black History bus tours, is not only to share with our students all the great things that are happening in various communities, but also for them to get out of their normal down south, South Miami Heights, Richmond High Schools, Florida City, Homestead area, and learn a little bit about Overtown and Coconut Grove, as well as Liberty City. And so these are just some of the photos from last year's trip. And we always find an artist, or we always attend the Sandria Rivers Theater to be able to share in the Black History celebrations that they have. This is also in Liberty Square, and we have an amazing artist and a lot of artists that share with us. We were able to have lunch there and be able to get some art signatures. This is kind of like our itinerary. We started in Richmond Heights and we went to Coconut Grove and Overtown and Liberty City. I actually have shirts made for our students. We do a fundraiser where we're able to raise funds in this bus tour. So this is actually our bus tour for this year. So it's a sneak preview of some of the many places that we're going to be going to. We are actually selling t-shirts, and the proceeds go towards us paying for our very expensive $1,000 plus bus, but we run ride in style. The tour guide gives us a lot of nuggets. Miss Akins has artists and different once again, Black history makers that we meet along our travels. This year, we are planning to go to Florida Memorial University, where that is the home of not only the school that Miss Akins has attended, but it's also the home of the Black National Anthem. It was written on that campus, although sang in Jacksonville. So we're going to be able to see and get a small, but a very essential college tour of our very own HBCU right down the street in Miami, right? So let's go Lions.
That's right.
As we travel back south, we're going to stop at the many places that you see on here. If we're going to be able to stop and take photos, but then also drive by and highlight those key areas in the major cities that we're going to be seeing. So there's our Flow Mo. We're going to next year at our Black History Zoom, we're going to have a picture of our students from Miami Southridge in front, around, beside, around, and all around this logo. So that's like the highlight of our trip. But then also, I want to end it on, if you want to get you a shirt, so you can wear your shirt on Wednesday, please inbox me in the chat or take a picture of the screen so you can help us. Like I said, this is the third year we have raised all the money, fundraising, to be able to allow those students to participate. And it's all students, any students, but it's the top 50, sorry, that are attending. Normally, these students are also the students that participate in our Black History program. So this year, the day before our Black History show on February 28th, we're going to go on our bus tour and really bring our program to life with the richness of the Black history and Black history makers that will be attending.
Yes. Thank you so much, Mrs. Dugue-Wright. I couldn't explain it better. I get so excited. I love all history. I love everybody. I participate in everything. And it's important. Black history is a district mandate. It's not something Ms. Akins making up. Like, we have to study Black history. It's a Miami-Dade School Board mandate that we learn about all cultures, right? We had Hispanic Heritage Month. We celebrated that in a grand way. We dressed up. We did everything. And now is our Black History Month. So we want to do the same thing. We have our staff luncheon that's happening on the 20th. We have our performances, and talk about our show, Mrs. Dugue-Wright, and I'm gonna move on. Unmute.
All right, so our show is a major collaboration of all parties. So we have our arts department that they will be providing some artwork that is authentic to our students, but also highlighting Black history. We have a dance from our dance team. We have our theater teacher that she's going to be providing a little skit or a sitcom. We have our English teacher, well, let me go back. Miss Rivera is our theater teacher. Miss Stevens is our English teacher. She's going to be doing some highlighting as well. But this year's theme, although it's about labor, we actually decided to add representation, like family representation. How are our jobs represented in the Black community and across the United States and abroad? But also how families are represented. So we're going to do a sitcom show. So I hope you guys can tune in to YouTube. And so we're going to highlight how the family structure represents in Blackish, how the Cosby had, highlights of a doctor and a lawyer as parents, raising 5 children and the ups and downs of raising children, but still maintaining the values and the dignity that we are all striving for. We are going to also highlight 6888. So the ladies that were tasked to handle this fiasco of mail, but kept our World War II veterans motivated and our families informed. And so we're going to have bits and pieces from those sitcoms and those shows to kind of highlight all the wonderful things that we have done and how we have developed and built this country together with all other races, all other creeds, and everyone else who came from different countries to find a good place to raise their children and to have a prosperous life.
Yeah. Thank you so much again, Mrs. Dugue-Wright. We have a lot in store. We've been working extremely hard, and we are grateful for the amazing teamwork that we have here at Miami Southridge. Collaboration. Somebody needs to mute with Community Collaboration Exchange. So thank you as well. And I want to point out, not to brag on myself, as a graduate of Florida Memorial University, after I earned my other degrees, I was able to go back to Florida Memorial University and I taught for 3 years. I was a professor for 3 years while I've maintained this full-time job at Dade County Public Schools. So I really enjoyed my time at Florida Memorial University, and to be able to be a professor was always a dream of mine. And I was grateful and thankful for that. So that was another moment that I bring to you of a Black History moment. So thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Nicole Jackson. After we hear from Mrs. Nicole Jackson, we're going to watch a short video on 10 famous Black people that changed the world. And then I want to hear from you. Who's your most influential Black person or African-American person, whichever way you use your term? Think about that. We're going to hear from Ms. Jackson. Then we're going to play the short video. And then you're going to tell me, you could say it out or you could write it in the chat. Mrs. Nicole Jackson.
Good evening. I am also a member of CCE as well as a Better Me. Lately for Black History, I've thought about legacy. What does that mean to me? So a lot of times we feel we have to be famous to, make history or be part of Black history, but we don't. We make history every day within our own family. And so I thought about it and I want to write a book. So that way my grandchildren, children, great-grandchildren, even after I'm gone, will see, well, what did Nicole do with her life? That's a part of history.
Yes.
A part of Community Collaboration Exchange and a Better Me allows me to get out there in the community and make a difference. That's part of being a part of Black history. You're making history and not being famous. So I wrote a poem several years ago during COVID called Me, Myself, and I. I am me, wide hips, childlike smile, and soft lips. I am me, pecan tan, flowing long hair, and a shorty by nature. Myself prefers to be alone, reading my Bible and building my own relationship, that is. Myself likes to look over this broad, beautiful world and admire what God created. Myself has learned to defy the obstacles that have been thrown my way throughout life. I am a child of the Most High God, beautiful and wonderfully made. I am the woman He created me to be, strong, brave, and resilient. I am written in the palm of His hand, so thank you, Jesus. Why am I all of these things? Because God doesn't make any mistakes. Therefore, me, myself, and I love me. So along with that, I have a lot of other poems I've written over the years that I plan on placing in that book so they can also see the other side of me. I have a very poetic side to other than to my teaching. So, but that would be my legacy I leave behind for my children and grandchildren and on and on and on. So thank you.
Mrs. Nicole Jackson, you are Black history. Thank you for that beautiful poem. Comments in the chat, please. Comments in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now I'm going to try to see if this video going to work for me. And I want you all to continue to think about who you're going to shout out as your person. Okay, it's coming, you all. You all see it yet?
Influencing a person isn't just something normal or usual, but in history, some people have left their permanent marks by changing the world with their philosophy, legacy, and ideology. Not all of them were philosophers, book readers, or activists only, but belonged to various backgrounds and professions, bringing you the 10 Black people who changed the world. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe for more good videos. Number 10. Louis Armstrong. We know Louis Armstrong as an artist who was an actor, a trumpeter, but he was above all this. His legacy consumed decades and is still continuing with his magical masterpieces in the form of songs like What a Wonderful World, Stardust, etc., and others that made his name prominent in the world of jazz music. Number 9. Tiger Woods. Sports is one of the greatest influences, and Tiger Woods is a prominent name in the field of golf who inspired people with his amazing playing skills. Holding numerous records, Woods is a famous athlete and a pride to the Black Americans. Number 8. Whitney Houston. The most awarded female performer, Whitney Houston is the only lady in our list whose millions of records were sold worldwide. She is an inspirational personality to many Black female artists and made them feel proud of their color and appearance. Her melodious voice and fearless presence can never be forgotten. Her first 4 albums, released between 1985 and 1992, amassed global sales in excess of 86 million copies. Number 7. Barack Obama.
It is.
Hey Alyssa, this is Barack Obama. The roots of racism in this country are deep.
The 44th American president, Barack Hussein Obama had 8 years presidency and received the Nobel Peace Prize for 2009 for his outstanding struggles and dedication to make the international policy strong. His leadership traits are famous worldwide, and people idealize him for his strong emphasis on making the people think and believe in themselves. Number 6. Morgan Freeman.
Hello everyone, Morgan here.
I'm in Pompeii.
Morgan Freeman, being a famous actor, is also known for his inspirational quotes and unique roles in movies. We hardly know any movie in which we see him in an ignorant role. No matter how less he speaks, his eyes and his expressions make us feel the deep connection he makes with his characters. Morgan Freeman wears his earrings because they are just worth enough to pay for a coffin in case he dies in a strange place.
All right, let's go back to the chats. Anybody want to unmute and express who is their most influential or person you look up to? It don't have to be a famous person, like Ms. Jackson said. Everybody's not famous, but you can have somebody in your life that inspires you, right? And nobody wants to unmute and share?
A person
Okay.
A person that inspired me was my grandma. And when she was younger, she didn't really have a mom, and she practiced doing her own hair and cooking. And then she grew up into like a grown woman, and she had 7 kids, and she was really good at doing hair and cooking. And she actually became a hairstylist and made her own hair salon.
Oh, wow.
And she had a food truck that my mom worked on with her, and sometimes I used to go on there and help them cook. And my grandma and mom, they used to do my hair ever since I was little, but it's kind of sad because she's gone now, but she still makes me happy, even though, yeah.
That is
And
thanks for sharing. Your grandmother is gone, but your mom is still alive, right?
yeah, I really miss her dearly, but she was a very strong woman, and I really look up to her.
Thank you for sharing that. You're a student at Southridge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much for sharing. That was awesome. Anyone else wants to share?
I'll take the dance floor. Someone that inspired me is my father. My father is someone that symbolizes kindness, but through a little bit of tough love, but he's not afraid to show who he truly is. I remember the time when I came to him for advice one time, and even though from his voice I always thought that he would just like sound so rough and like brutal, but he's actually kind-hearted and willing to speak. He allows me to talk my feelings out and let me at least be human towards him. And he understands the things I go through because, he's been through that road too. So he gives me advice and I take it to heart as I should, and I, you know, apply that. And I really want to be my father because of that.
Oh,
I admire
wow.
him.
That is so amazing. Thank you for sharing about your father. I'm a daddy's girl, so I can relate. Thank you for sharing that beautiful story. And you still have that relationship with your father now, correct? Khalil,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, mistaken.
you still have that relationship with your father, correct?
Yes, thankfully. Yes.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. I love to hear about that. Because I've been in this system 22 years, and and I'm not bashing any fathers. I usually deal with a lot of mothers. So when I hear about a father, I just love it. Anyone else wants to share before we move on? Thank you for sharing, and I see some lists in the chat, and some of those are my people that I love and look up to. Of course, my parents, my mom and dad, who was always there for me. And I love Dr. Maya Angelou. Like that's one of my favorite persons in the world. Violeta, you have your hand up. You can go ahead.
Yes, what I want to share with you guys is that I'm just I'm a student, and Miss Joey Batistas is my supervisor for my master in social work.
Okay, now.
I learned a few years ago, like 12 years ago before I came from Puerto Rico, and I decided myself to call myself what I feel I am. I am Black Latin American.
Yes.
And then this was recently, it's a crochet.
Yes.
I didn't pay $150. It just $30 cost me that I did it myself. So I decided because everybody in my job, where I work in Career Source, South Florida. So everybody liked my hair and they enjoy me too, you know. I love it. I love it. I just trying to do something because my friends push me to do crochet for real. And then I say, okay, I'm gonna crochet my hair too.
That is a
So
part
I'm
of the
enjoying to have this time with you guys. I'm having good
so
time
much.
listening to you. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
hair is a huge part of culture. So thank
And
you for
look at my shirt.
I see
My
it.
daughter bought it to me.
That's very nice. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to take this moment and thank you all so much for being here. And I'm going to turn it over to Fred Christian now, who wants to share a poem. And after the poem, we do a little trivia for some fun. And then we're going to call it a night. Anybody who, any community organizations that are here that would like to introduce yourself. Like I said, this video will be available. And I thank you all for being here. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being open. And thank you for participating. And now I'm going to turn it over to Fred Christian.
Thank you, Miss Akins. This is not your poem, but this is something that's been heavy on my heart because Tawana, Miss Akins, you've been pushing for this, and a lot of us have with Black history being preserved. And I started as an activist studying Black history as an 18-year-old college student back in 1988. And I just don't want these kids, I want them to know some of these names that I wrote about. And I've researched these people and I've followed them. So we started in 1950 with Emmett Till, who was a young man who unfortunately was beaten and lynched and killed. But his mother, God bless her, Mamie, was courageous enough to have an open casket. She called the biggest Black magazines, which are the equivalent of Life and Time magazine, Ebony and Jet, and they took pictures of this, which spawned the modern civil rights movement. So we go to a man named Harry T. Moore of Melbourne. Not sure if anybody knows who he was, but he was in Melbourne, Florida. Mr. Moore became the head of the NAACP. Mr. Moore's house, and you can hear this is for Miss Jackson, I know she's in Melbourne, it's a historical place, and it's there. His home was firebombed, and because of segregation, this man, who was fighting for integration and civil rights and dignity, suffered severe burns. They carried him by private ambulance. There was no paramedics back then. 14 miles to Orlando due to segregation, and he died from his injuries. Upon hearing this, there was a man in Mississippi named Medgar Evers who took up the torch for him. And Medgar Evers, too, was assassinated, but his wife, God bless her, Mamie Evers, carries on his legacy to this day at 90-plus years old, fighting for him. But we get to some happier news. In 1955, there was a case because a little Black girl wanted to go to school close to her house, neighborhood. They wouldn't let her. So her dad said enough, and he filed a lawsuit. He hired a great lawyer, and this great lawyer took it all the way to the Supreme Court. And they won. It was Brown versus the Board of Education, opening the door for people to go to the proper schools, wherever they wanted to go to. No more segregated schools. That lawyer's name was Thurgood Marshall, and he would go on to become the first U.S. Justice of the Supreme Court. And it gets better. In 1955, we go to Montgomery, Alabama, and there was a lady named Rosa. She refused to go back to the back of the bus because she was tired after being a seamstress all day. She said, "No, bus driver, I ain't going." So they arrested her, and a man that was a young pastor from Atlanta, Georgia, named Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., heard about this and became partners with Rosa in the modern civil rights movement after the death of Medgar Evers. He was joined by a young man that was a sharecropper's son who would go on to be a great congressman starting good trouble named John Lewis. And together, the three of them were the leadership through the late 50s to the early 60s to the mid 60s of the civil rights movement, which got us through President John Kennedy and his death, President Lyndon Johnson, and Robert F. Kennedy's support. The modern civil rights movement, which after 1963 with the March on Washington, which Dr. King gave a great speech called I Have a Dream speech, inspired people to have Public Accommodations Act, Voting Rights Acts, all that passed in the memory of John F. Kennedy. which helped African Americans and all peoples. And there's a little known fact with this which affected me as a disabled person. There was a young seminary student from Ohio. His name was Reverend Wade Blank. And he was led by God to go to one of these marches. And he became an organizer for this march. He believed so fervently in equality and dignity that he was actually fired from the church he was hired to lead. So he became an organizer. And then, after the civil rights movement was done and winding down, he found a job teaching disabled children and helping them in group homes. He would go on with his friend Mark Johnson, who was paralyzed in a wheelchair, to form the ADAPT group, which led to lifts on buses, ramps, all the great things you see for disabled and elderly people, accommodations for me in school, for ESE students, was because of Wade Blank and because of Mark Johnson and a woman named Anita Cameron, who was African American, who climbed along with several other people in wheelchairs the steps of the Capitol back in 1990 to prove disabled people needed help. They climbed the steps of the Capitol for this. And then in happier news, we fast forward to 2008, our first Black president, Barack Hussein Obama, who was not satisfied just to be the first Black president. He gave 52 million people health care with the Affordable Care Act and also expanded Medicaid to people in certain states, enabling people who were sick to have dignity. And then finally, we want to thank certain people who fought this great fight. Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King III, and the entire King family for fighting the good fight. And it's not over yet. Along with some local heroes, the Circle of Brotherhood, the Hunger Nine, who fought to stop our kids from dying from gun violence, along with Miss Tawana Akins, Joquetta Griffin Batista, Nita Cheryl Bush, Susan Bullets, Kennedy Nanton, Lamont Pop Nanton, who fight and take a stand for humanity. That is what Black history is, and the Black excellence is too, taking a stand for humanity. And I want to thank you guys tonight for this. I just hope if you haven't heard of any of these people that you will Google, and let me know in the chat if you did, who you did and did not. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Fred. That was very powerful, well thought out, very brief, but with a lot of depth to it. So thank you for sharing that. And thanks to everyone on this Zoom who are our local community heroes, right? We all can do something. We all can do good. You did an amazing job tonight, Fred. And we're going to close out with the twins singing, but I want to do a little trivia right now. Who became the first Black American woman to serve as the United States Secretary of State in 2001? You can unmute and say it because we don't have a lot of time, so I have to go now. Who was the first Black American woman to serve as the United States Secretary of State?
Condoleezza Wright.
Yes, Condoleezza Rice. Which Black American baseball player broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball in 1947?
Let me get Jackie Robinson up.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
I love when students answer. What event in 1968 resulted in nationwide protests and is often seen as a turning point in the civil rights movement? What event happened in 1968? Come on, guys.
Right. The
Civil rights movement.
assassination.
The assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in 1968. Who was the Black American civil rights activist who organized the Little Rock Nine, a group of Black students who integrated Little Rock Central High School in 1957? Who was the Black American civil rights activist?
Daisy Bates?
Yes, Daisy Bates.
Daisy Bates.
Daisy Bates. Awesome. Which civil rights movement activist known for her powerful singing voice was called the Queen of Gospel?
Can you repeat that?
Queen of Gospel during the civil rights movement.
Aretha Franklin.
Nope.
Mahalia
Jackson.
Mahalia Jackson, yes. What movement was founded in 2013 by Alicia Garza, Patrice Colliers, and Opal Tometi following the acquittal of Trayvon Martin's killer?
The Black Lives Matter movement.
Yes, the Black Lives Matter movement. Yeah, smart. Lift every voice and sing. Which college campus? Come on, Dugue said earlier.
Flomo.
Lift every voice, Florida Memorial University. What's the name of the guy who wrote that song? He was a faculty member at Florida Memorial University when he wrote that song. Lift every voice and sing. What's his name?
James Weldon Johnson.
James Weldon Johnson. What did Dr. Charles Drew invent?
The blood bank.
The blood bank, yes. Who was the first African American mayor of the city of Detroit? That's the last one. First African American mayor of the city of Detroit.
Andrew Coleman. No, that was Atlanta.
John Williams.
The first African American mayor of the city of Detroit.
Oh, mayor. Okay. Fine.
Dave Bing, I think.
It's John Williams. What?
No.
No.
Coleman.
Colin A. John.
Okay, last one. Who was the first African American woman Black millionaire? She made hair products. We were talking about hair. Hair products. What's her name? Come on, y'all.
God, I learned this in the
Madam C.J. Walker.
Yes, Madam C.J. Walker. Thank you, Shatavia. Now, quickly, CCE, introduce yourself, name, organization. I'm Tawana Akins, Miami Southridge, Community Collaboration Exchange, and a Better Me.
Shatavia Joseph from CCE as well, Mining Hearts and Minds, and also Lead with Love, licensed clinical social worker. Blessings to everybody.
Thank you.
Nicole Jackson, CCE, and a Better Me, and retired Miami-Dade educator.
Fred Christian, hashtag impact / at Impact Media Inc. 501c3, community disabled community activist. Thank you.
All right, and I saw Miss Joey here of Collective Sisterhood and CCE. And we have some staff members, Mr. Canteen on here. I don't know who else from Southridge. Thank you, Southridge students. Dr. Tejada.
You're welcome.
Maria, are you ready to take us away? Thank you all for attending our annual Black History Month Zoom. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed. Students, make sure you sign in again because that's your sign out. I'm looking at sign out with ID number, and that's how you will receive your community service hours. You can check your transcript on your portal to make sure that your community service hours are there. Take it away, Tayada.
Do I have time to say what
Hello?
do I have time to say what
Yes, say it. Yes, while we're leaving hurry up.
Okay, sorry. Hello everyone, my name is Maria and I am from Santiago, Cuba. My country is known for wonderful music with many genres. One genre is song. This genre of music is originated in the region of Cuba that I am from. So it has many influences and it is originated in the countryside of Cuba where Guajiros, which are people who live in the rural areas, live. Africans brought to Cuba from the transatlantic slave trade contributed greatly to this music genre and are recognized for that. Particularly the Bantu people from Western Africa influences this music genre, and they will have parties called guateques, playing instruments like the bongo, botija, and kiriba. All these words that I have shared are originally from Africa and commonly shared in Cuba. With that, my friends Rocio and Saphir Ruiz will be singing a bit of La Guantanamera, a very well-known song, not only in my country, but the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. That was great. Thank you.
Saphir, Rocio, I don't know if you're there still.
Yeah,
Rapidito. Dale,
yeah,
rapidito.
I saw them. They're there. I can start the video.
Si no puedes cantar, si no puedes poner video, ¿ok?
Yeah,
Cuando
I can
quieras.
Okay.
Yo soy un hombre sincero, ¿de dónde crece la palma? Yo soy un hombre sincero, ¿de dónde crece la palma? Y antes de morir yo quiero echar mis besos del alma. Guajira, Guantanamera, Guantanamera, Guajira, Guantanamera.
Oh, we love
Eso.
it.
So like Celia Cruz said it, we say azúcar.
You got
Thank you.
double twins. Amazing talent. Thank you, Dr. Tejeda. Thank you, Maria. Thank you to the twins, Rocio and Saphir Ruiz. Azúcar.
There we go.
All right. Good
Muy
night,
bien.
everyone. Thank you all. Good night, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy Valentine's Day and have an amazing President's Day weekend, everyone. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Night.